Good eye, Zane. Hope you're having a good week here. Just having a look at your animation here. Looking good, too right. Um, I'm sorry, I won't talk like that the entire time. I was looking at your animation. It looks great. Looks really good. Good blocking. It seems like you have a really good grasp of blocking, and that's one thing that I struggled with all the way to the very end of Animation Mentor's workflow and blocking. And it looks like you've got a good enough grip on it to where you're going to be able to really focus on polishing and all that other good stuff that happens. Um, I really like what you've done with the end of the shot. Um, I think that the sad thing is personally, I think that it's cliche. A lot of people do that certain animation cliche stuff, and it irritates me. No. So I'm really glad to see that you've changed the end of it into something way more creative. It's really good. Um, I just watched your mentor critique from last week, and I like how you've incorporated your mentor's notes of using more of the space. Um, but and you also said something in one of your posts about how you feel like it's too long. I think it's like 270 frames now. And I have an idea for that, except it's kind of a bummer. Um, I, I really like your contrast of he does his little dance and then he's like, oh, 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 no, wait, boom. So it has this really nice flow. Like if you were to chart this as a graph, it's kind of like dance, 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 and then it kind of like smooths out, and then it gets, it's good. It's good that it has like that sort of, it's up here, and then it kind of goes down here, and there's like a quiet moment, and then it goes up here again. So I like that. But in order to cut some frames out, you may want to cut something out in here, right here. So he's looking, and then he goes over, and then it blows up. So I hate to cut some of that out, but if you wanted to cut frames out, I might suggest that you cut some out after he loses the balloon or after he lets go of the balloon because he's kind of like, oh, I dropped the balloon. Oh, no, wait, it's going to go into that fan. Oh! If you cut some frames out of there, you might get more of the sense of because like I'm just thinking like if I was dancing along and I lost my balloon, I'd be like, oh crap, my balloon. Like I would have that instantaneously, like that. Oh no, but kind of like that pose you have where like, oh no, it's gonna go into the fan or whatever it's gonna do. I would kind of be like that right after I let go of the balloon because like, oh, I can't get it back. In fact, that might even be a nice idea after losing it. Maybe you kind of like try to grasp at it or something. But I don't want to incorporate any I don't want to throw you off with new stuff when if you need to be moving forward. But that might be kind of an interesting idea. Where like, oh no, it's floating away. Oh no, no, no. Oh, and then you kind of go right into that. Oh no, it's kind of the realization that you lost it is cool because like, oh my balloon. Oh no. Oh no. You know, it's a nice quiet moment, but I think from an animation standpoint, you could cut your frames out and shorten your shot, and it would almost make more sense too because he lost it, and it's like and it quickens the sequence of events up a little bit. So that's one way that you may want to cut some frames out, even though it's kind of taking that quiet moment out. Um, Maybe that also makes the end of the shot the quiet moment, because he's like lifting up the piece of the balloon. Um, just food for thought. If you want to look into that a little bit, that's just something I thought of. I thought like, well, why did he lose the balloon? And then I'm thinking, well, maybe he just inadvertently let go of it by accident. And I know if I inadvertently let go of it by accident, I'd be like right away, I'd be like, oh, trying to like grasp at it to get it back. Or if it was already out of my reach, I'd be like, oh, you know. But there's that moment where he's thinking about it, where it's like, do we really need that? I'm not sure. I mean, it does add a nice quiet moment, but logistically, anyway, I think you get my drift. Get it, balloon drift. Okay. So logistically, let's look at the, I made a couple notes here. Um, frame, frame 27. Okay, so this is one of the things that your mentor, I think, said, frame 27. And I just thought I'd call out again, maybe you. Let me fire up the old pen here. Yeah, there's just, I think what she's saying, coincidentally, I had the pleasure and the pain of taking classes at the Academy of Art here, which is in San Francisco, which is near me in California, um, when animators from Pixar taught the class. This is before AM, I think, even started. And my first two mentors were Scott Clark, who is now, actually, I just read that he's supervising animator on Cars 2. No, on Monsters University. Um, and Angus MacLean, who directed, what did he direct? No, animation directed one of their shorts. I can't remember which one. I think it was One Man Band. Anyway, I had the fortune of taking a class with them, and then again with I took another class with Andrew Gordon and Mike Venturini. But one of the things that Scott Clark and Angus MacLean talked about, they were like a wealth of knowledge, although they were incredibly painful to deal with, was tension. And that's kind of what I see here. I will impart this onto you. Right here, you've got his head, right? Forgive the very poor drawings. And then you've got his arm right there. And what that's doing is it's kind of causing a little bit of tension. Because you kind of, the way it is, there's like a line right in here. Well, you can't really tell what's, you can't really tell where the head ends and the arm begins. There's like a straight line right at the ending of the head and the beginning of the arm. I can't really duplicate it. It's kind of like that. See that right there? And you kind of either need to overlap the head over the arm so you could see that there's a distinction there, or pull them apart enough to where you can see negative space. And I think that's what your mentor is referring to right there. I think she suggested that you kind of, I think she also, what she was talking about is the straightness of the arm. So if you can maybe make that pose into something like where the head is here and the body's here, um, and the arm looks like, it's a little bit more cocked like that. Um, I guess you could also have the head here and the body here, and then the arm kind of up here. It's just, I think she's talking about the silhouette of the arm so that you can kind of see more of a curvature. But the note that I'm making is if there's a way where you can either tuck the head down more so that it's down, well, that wouldn't work because then this arm would be coming out of the head. So if there's a way that you could pull a little bit more negative space in there, kind of like this, to separate the head away from the arm, I think that's your best bet. Try pulling the arm down and bending it a little at the elbow. Pull the shoulder down a little bit, and that will create more of that negative space. And when you bend the elbow, it will create more of a curve to satisfy your mentor. Frame 57, the note that I had here was, so what's kind of happening here is that you're losing the eyes. You're kind of getting into, this territory. You can still distinguish the two, but it's getting really close. You kind of maybe want to pull that head, reel that head back in a little bit to where you can kind of see both eyes. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of have this range with these characters where it's kind of like, from here to here. It's always in 3/4. When you start profiling, especially with Stewie, you get the eye balls literally on the outside of the head, and it's kind of like, it just looks weird. So if you can kind of keep it within that 3/4, you don't have a whole lot of range of motion, especially with a giant head. But if you can kind of think about that as you're posing him out, you'll be better off, I think.
Even if in 3D space he's not looking at what he's supposed to be looking at, um, in the camera space, if you can see both eyes, and it will sort of look like that. And as you get into Bishop, you'll be doing that a lot too with the eyes, where you're kind of making them look like they're looking at what he's supposed to be looking at. Whereas if you looked at it in 3D space, he's not looking anywhere near it. So it's really about an appeal thing more than a um, actual thing.
I know this is just blocking. There's some weird kind of foot stuff going on here, and I know, like I said, I'll kind of shut up because I know it's just blocking. But there's some hard straights and some kind of odd foot angles or ankle angles, and I think frame 67. This pose may look more flowy if you're um, have a little curve on that leg, you know. And even in the body. And then maybe oh, the other note that I wanted to make. Um, See how much more appealing that pose is? You've got a little bit more curvature in the body as a whole, right? Um, there's curvature in the leg. The foot that is kind of dragging off, it's not, because right now there appears to be like a tension um, here. Just because I feel like the leg being as straight as it is, I want the leg for some reason to curve like this, but it seems like the foot is curving like that. It just feels like a twist to me, even though I know it's not twisting. I know the leg is supposed to kind of be doing this, and the foot hangs off of that. But do you see how much more appealing it is when I just do this? It gives more of a drag to the leg, and I think it's because the pelvis also. You may want to turn your root so that the pelvis is kind of this way, and then you can drag the foot like that. And then that's like one flowing motion where this is kind of like the foot and that's the leg. Right now, to me, it looks like, I don't know, and there's a tension there. I'm not sure if you get what I'm saying, but it just feels like a tension. I Where's that drawing that I did? This seems to, see it already. This is kind of more like a more appealing pose. Um, and notice how I've opened the hand because he's let the balloon go. So it's like I know he's dropping it, but I don't know if that's maybe this is a bad note because he's not intentionally letting it go. So, um, but if he was intentionally letting it go, maybe that hand would be open like that. I'm sorry for rambling so much. The other thing is the head. Um, there's so much personality that can be added to a head by just tilting it slightly. And